5, I believe.
No, 6.
Oh, we were just talking about how proud of ourselves we are. We try with our busy schedules to stay kind of consistent. We're here Wednesday night because our good friend here, Brooke, has some stuff coming up this week with health and whatnot. So, you say Thursday, you make it Wednesday. Again, I'm super happy to be here tonight. And thank you for everyone joining us. Our live chats are already on fire, which is really fun. Everyone can see we're missing one of our partners. The 4 is now a 3, but she might jump in here in a second. She's been real busy. Again, crazy schedules. So the crazy Lexit Latina fiery Frankie Rodriguez will hopefully be jumping in midstream with us. So right now we got Brooke, our parental rights feisty mama bear here in Reno with me, and then Mandy, same thing. We're all up here in Reno, we're in Nevada, and fighting the good fight for our freedoms. Proud patriots. Tonight, I wanted to talk about something that we've talked about in some of our other podcasts and work we do, but it was it involved Riley Gaines, our good friend that we went and saw. And so I really thought it would be something fun to talk about since we've met her, we heard her speak, we know how really, she's so well-spoken, so intelligent that immediately after meeting Riley Gaines, I said, man, I hope she runs for office and stays in office. Like Riley Gaines for president. She's not just an athlete. She's not just a swimmer. She's a really well-spoken, intelligent young woman with a great future ahead of her. But she has sparked some controversy lately because she posed for a calendar for the conservative beer. What is it called? Not Your Dad's Beer or something. I'll bring up all the specifics, but she posed in a calendar with some other conservative, beautiful women. And then what happened is a lot of other conservatives like Jenna Ellis, and again, I'll bring up more names, they got a little upset about it. They said, oh, this is, again, objectifying. This isn't what good, Christian conservative women should do. We shouldn't be modeling for calendars. And it made me chuckle personally because like Riley's a swimmer. So like her in a swimsuit, I don't think it doesn't make my Christian blood boil. I don't think it's doing anything to, poison my young, teenage boys' minds. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's fun when strong conservative Christian women can also be beautiful. And of course there's, again, I don't want them in porn, but this was far from it, in my opinion. And I think it's also interesting when conservative women start fighting over like trivial things, like something about this that felt trivial and kind of silly. Like Jenna Ellis has and I have so much respect for her. There's things she says about Trump and things that I don't love, but there's a relationship there that I understand that I don't know all the details of. But she has such a huge platform to sidestep and talk about something like this. This is trivial. This is fun. This is a nothing. It's like a nothing burger to me. It's like, cool, Riley Gaines was in this fun calendar with some other great conservative women. And some of them were like fully dressed, white, holding guns. Like, it was far from porn. So like to just waste your voice and your platform when we're supposed to be strong conservative women, maybe evangelizing, why would we point fingers at one another and say her skirt's too short and she shouldn't have done that calendar in her swimsuit? And you're talking about Riley Gaines. Anyway, so you guys take it away. The big thing that I want to get to is I've been criticized, and I think Brooke can touch on this too, because Brooke has a background in being a pageant beauty queen. And just recently you've been doing some work with churches, and you're an amazing speaker. You're an activist. You've also run for office. You understand, I think, probably better than anyone, the kind of scrutiny we get under with what we wear, what we look like, is a big thing. And again, like speak to that, because I think women, I would like to see us lifting each other up more and not like arguing over the petty stuff. But there is something to be said about being a conservative Christian and the kind of scrutiny you get put under. I guess I want to talk about that with the way you look. So did you guys see the calendar? Did you guys see the spread?
I haven't seen the spread yet. Now I want to see it because I've been in a calendar for what I do in my day work, which is cannabis. I have an event company for women in cannabis, and we teach them business practices. So the first thing I did the first year was we did a calendar the day after our first expo, and I made everybody in these goddess. Everybody had a different color. It was very beautifully put. But yes, as I've continued more activism work, even some of my modeling stuff, I've come under scrutiny under certain people saying, well, you shouldn't look that way. And I feel torn. I'm like you. The intention in any of the work that I've done, even in modeling and pageantry, is never to been to sexualize myself. In fact, the pageants actually taught me how to talk, walk, speak, community service, community advocacy, and taught me how to be confident in my own body and be present in what I was doing and advocating for in the world. I've always loved doing modeling, and so I did a boudoir shoot a couple years ago. Everything's covered. They are very sexy in a way, but it was also me embracing all of the physical changes I've been through with my body and the precancer and missing some colon and, you know, being heavy for years and then like all of a sudden like super thin and fit because I took charge of everything after the colon stuff happened. So I don't know. I'm very torn like you. Like, I don't think that this should be a point. Apparently, it's still a sore point with some people because I had to take down some of those pictures, which they were a little on the risque side, but they weren't. It was not for the intention. It was for fun, and it was for me. It was for self gratification for myself. Like, I'd worked so hard and I've gone through so much and I've overcome so much. And I think, like you, Riley for president, love that woman. I can't wait to see her again and work with her again via our podcast with Joey and all the different aspects of what's going on with me working on putting on a conference for the transgender, you know, the movement. But it's this weird fine line, right? What's right, what's wrong? I don't think as women, we should definitely not be pointing at each other woman and saying your skirt's too short or this or that. And I think at some point, so there's certain things, pick your battles. I think we're in a position now where it's like you need to pick your battle wisely. And if you don't agree that that person's doing something that maybe they feel a little more comfortable in, or like Riley, she's beautiful, she's a swimmer, so she's in a swimsuit and a calendar. Hello, it's not rocket science. It's called branding, raising money, awareness. It's all these other things. If people just stopped and actually looked at maybe the intention behind what the person was doing, maybe they wouldn't be so quick to point out that the skirt's too short or that she's in a swimsuit. But the girlfriend can wear whatever she wants because she's got a beautiful physical athletic body. So that's what I have to say.
And one thing I said on it too was all the women in that calendar, and again, I'm sharing it right now in the chat so people can see it, but they have reputations. Like, this isn't girls that are like Instagram models. They've built, I shouldn't say reputation, I should say careers on solid, like they have fought to be leaders in the conservative movement, strong conservative voices. Like Riley Gaines has earned all the respect through blood, sweat, and tears, 10,000 hours of, fighting in her sport and then getting put through what she put through. She's not grifting. She's not having what do you call it, Mandy? The fans only pages?
304s.
She's not a 304. Mandy had to teach me what a 304 was. Does everyone in the chat know what a
304? The whole text we had about the 304. Oh my gosh. Okay, now I know. I was like, wait, what's happening? Okay, yes, I do recall that. Yep. Yeah, she's
Mandy's
not
like,
a 304.
She's like, that this conversation will be easy for me because we're not talking about 304. So Mandy taught me what a 304 was, and then she also was talking about like fans only. Like, my point is that's not what this was. This wasn't a calendar where they just randomly picked, girls that are like Playboy models that have nothing going for them but that kind of sexual appeal, and they make money off of it. These are women who, like, Riley Gaines obviously doesn't do that. And it was actually like tastefully done. And I guess my biggest thing is a lot of these, so Jenna Ellis, and I'll bring up the other gal here because I have it in front of me. So there was, so in the calendar, and I'll share the Substack where you can see it. So it was Conservative Dads, Real Women of America. So it's Conservative Dad's beer, which you guys got to check out. It's pretty cool. Conservative Dad's
Ultra. This is so cool. I pulled it up.
Looking at it.
This is amazing.
So you got Kim Klatchik too, and she ran. Was she in Atlanta? She was like that beautiful woman that was walking in the heels when she was she was campaigning, and she also broke records with her campaign where she raised a ton of $25 donations. What was she running for Senate? I feel silly that I don't remember. I remember the ad campaigns because that's where my job goes, is like the campaigning. But Kim is amazing. You've got Ashley St. Clair, Catalina Loof, and then you've got Dana Loesch, and she's like holding like two big old guns. I mean, it's really cool. And when you look at the pictures, I don't think any of them are. One thing that Tom said is, when you read the Substack that I'm dropping in there, he said, like, it's nothing that we haven't seen. If you go to Miami, okay, and you just walk the streets, or if you're in Vegas and you're in like Fremont Street, like, this is stuff we see. Nothing here is like, I think, over the top pornographic. And then the people who were criticizing it, because I think they called it like, what did they call it? They called it like Calendar Gate or something. It's like, yeah, Calendar Gate. They called it. Daily Mail, there was an article about Calendar Gate because it created a stir in the conservative movement. It's like bloodbath. It's like people just talking about nothing when we're on the brink of like, a world war, and this is what people talk about, that there's issues. But the other gal, what is it, Allie Beth Stuckey, she didn't like it either, but there's pictures of her on her social media wearing clothes that are almost just as revealing. I mean, Jenna Ellis is a beautiful woman. She wears makeup and does her hair up and all that and looks nice. And then this gal also the same way. And I don't see anything in this calendar that's bad. I mean, maybe it's the nature of a calendar. Maybe it's because they're promoting beer. I don't know. But I thought it was cute that they were talking about this again, when we have how many more important things to be arguing about than Riley Gaines being in a bikini. Mandy, what are you thinking? She's smiling right now.
All I gotta say is I'm gonna write them because I want to be in the next calendar. Mandy, let's go, girl. Come on, let's go. I'm like in love with this calendar right now. This is amazing. I want a piece. I want to be in it. Our friends are right. Yes. Okay, go for it.
Brooke's like, I want to be affiliate. That's what she said. All of that's what she said. Girls want to be on the next calendar. We're affiliates.
I don't want to be in a calendar. I have a face for radio, y'all. Like, I don't belong in a calendar.
You're beautiful. Yes, you do.
No. I don't think there's anything wrong with the calendar. And my initial reaction to hearing Jenna Ellis complain seems a bit catty and low-key like jealous, like girl hater behavior. I thought Jenna Ellis was cool. And then she did some things. She kind of turned on Trump in some ways that I wasn't really crazy about. And so she's kind of been kicked off my cool list. I'm sure she's still doing her own thing, but I would consider her opinion irrelevant at this point. So I don't really care what she thinks of Riley. Riley looks beautiful, and so do all the other women in the calendar. And it's probably refreshing for men to see beautiful, conservative, God-loving women on a calendar versus, chicks with dicks.
Yeah, I was going to say that. We had our first, was that our first episode where we talked about the Sports Illustrated?
Yeah,
I mean, if these girls were chicks with dicks, then mainstream left-wing media would have had it everywhere, and they would have been cool with it.
How dare a natural woman
selling, and it would have been
like,
yeah, it would have been calendar for like the tucking tape or something, and we're supposed to just be okay with it. That's what I love about this is like, you got to fight fire with fire a little bit. You got to have fun with this a little bit. And I understand Christians and being a good Christian and wanting to evangelize and teach people to not be selling sex. I get that. But the evil that we're up against, I'm not saying that this is a tactic to fight back. But I mean, if we can't do this, then like, are you serious? Like, are you seriously going to compare that? Like you're a bad Christian if you're in a calendar. I mean, stop. It's nonsense. And again, the other side with the trans stuff, and then some of the stuff we were bringing up before was just like what it was like growing up like in the 80s. Like, you remember the ads? And it's like I miss the good old days of like Cindy Crawford and the Pepsi ads and the tiny little like Daisy Dukes and stuff, and just everything was just like so much more simple back then.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. In fact, I applaud it. Make another one.
Yeah, good.
Make another one.
I want it.
And I don't. If anybody's looking at it, it doesn't look like they're selling sex. It looks like they're showing conservative, beautiful women. I mean, most of them are fully clothed. Riley Gaines, she's a swimmer. She's in a swimsuit. Like,
they are making fun of, you can tell that Ashley Clare, her photo, they're making fun of Dylan Mulvaney. They've got her in the Tiffany outfit with the pearls, and they're like, you can tell they're playing off the Budweiser thing that happened. That's creative. I mean, I see this as branding, marketing, building a brand, pulling people over to a conservative brand. I love everything about it. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the criticism is interesting, but I mean, beyond, this specifically, there's been times again, and that's why I was bringing up the stuff that you've done, Brooke, because Brooke actually had been asked to take photos down at different times in her career doing different things. And like she said, we're happy to do it because at the end of the day, we're fighting for our kids, and stuff that I did. I have pictures from, I modeled in college for painters, and there's pictures of me that are like, I don't have a lot of clothes on, but it's a painting. And, if it's offensive to something I'm doing, of course I'm going to be respectful and take it down. And that's great. But I joked a lot on the campaign trail with some of the campaigns I worked on, because if I was perceived as being too pretty, if I had too short of a skirt on, in someone's opinion, I joked at one point with one of my candidates, and I said, I sometimes feel like I'm supposed to dress like Margaret Thatcher. Like I'm supposed to go into the room wearing a curtain in order to appease the older conservatives in the room. So there is something that we come up against being attractive. Oh, Frankie Rodriguez just jumped in.
Frankie! You made it!
Hi, ladies. You have convinced me to take time from fighting bad guys and talk smack.
Oh, the foursome's here. We're like so relaxed now. We're so at peace. Look at the screen is full. Poor Brooke was on the bottom, floating in the middle.
I know.
But what
all by herself.
What a beautiful face to be floating back and forth.
Right?
It's very,
It was
very heavenly, and
yeah. So
we're talking about
listening.
You were listening.
I was listening just before jumping on.
Tell us what you said.
So I loved everything that you guys were saying. If you want to continue, and then I'll jump in after.
No, go ahead.
Well, firstly, I want to say absolutely the left is jealous, because here's the thing. They have been trying to prance their little, I'm a woman, but I have a penis, please accept me for who I am. I was born this way, but I wasn't, but please accept me anyway. And so I think it's just a new level of envy and greed and jealousy that we have never seen before, because look at how they tried to prance these creatures on the cover of Maxim. And here we have these beautiful, elegant, powerful women, real women, on a calendar, just having a good time, showing their personalities, and they come and attack them. I think this is an attack from the left, because clearly this is taking away money from all the funds that they're making, all the donations that they're getting with their Maxim covers and their everything that they're doing on the left, pushing all of these men, right, women. And so yeah, I think it's a jealousy thing. I think it's very anti-Christian behavior. I think it's showing your true character. I think you're showing the world what your heart really carries. If you're prancing around, especially on social media, listen, if you have these thoughts on your own, we all have moments, right, where we think, damn, that girl's real pretty, right? It's a normal human nature thing, right? I'm sure guys go through it as well. If you see some dudes, you know what I mean? Like, wow,
I'm like, wow.
You're like, damn, that woman is beautiful. But to go on social media and voice your level of insecurity to the world, that's sad and heartbreaking. Considering that you are on our side, you should be the example of a proud, powerful, wonderful, beautiful, loving, supporting woman. So to attack other women, especially when they're in the fight, absolutely not. Like this is a Greta moment. This is a how dare you moment. How dare you?
Yeah, that's
and
the
I'm
thing.
done.
We have better things to do, and I love it because I bring up salty cracker because I love salty cracker. So I'm plugging in my laptop. I just realized it's dying. That would be
Well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it brings up another interesting point. It's almost like at times the left doesn't even need to do anything to us, because sometimes we're real good at attacking our own side. Like those conservative women, Jenna Ellis and Allie Beth Stuckey, they should be standing beside Riley and Dana and all these other women instead of wasting time attacking them. They're on the same side. Like I don't understand what they seek to gain. But you think you're going to look better? You don't look better when you put somebody else down who's your ally. You look worse.
I have to go back to like, what is even the point of them, with them feeling so discouraged to even do that in the first place? And I feel like you have to have a lot of some flawed vision to go and want to just take your time to attack somebody who's trying to do something to raise money or build a brand, or there's times in business every day there's things that happen that I might not agree with the person, or I might not like the marketing piece they put together, or whatever it is, but I'm not going to take my time out of my day to then go and tell them this, I don't agree with this. Well, guess what? If I'm not buying the product, why does it matter? And number two, those individual women made their own decision. And I love the fact that Frankie, man, girl, I love that you brought this up because I wasn't even thinking about it. That's why all four of us have to be here. Because you're right. For all last year, they're selling chicks with dicks. That's what they're trying to say. Well, they're women, they're women, they're women. No, these are actual women in their femininity, in doing some stuff that's semi macho-y and really girl power, woman power-ish. I love that because you're right. All last year it was selling Dylan Mulvaney with Budweiser, and it was Kate Petra with the Sports Illustrated, and those are not women. I don't think anybody telling us that we have to call them women. They're transvestites, they're transgender. It's a trans thing that does not make you a biological woman. And like Riley Gaines said, the fact that we even have to say biological woman's ridiculous. So I agree with all of it.
Yeah, and why shouldn't we be pissed? Honestly, why shouldn't we be pissed? And I, like you said, you brought up that one of them looked like it was pointing, obviously, like a point to the Dylan Mulvaney photo shoot. Yep. Why shouldn't we be pissed and fighting to take our power back? Yep. We are women, and we're sick of the bullshit. And I think it's fair for us to just be kind of, actually, they could have done more. Like, I actually think that calendar was pretty mild. And one thing I was going to bring up earlier was Salty Cracker is one of my favorites. He's a great influencer. He has a great show. Follow Salty Cracker if you don't. And I get nothing from that. He doesn't even know who I am, but I've just been a fan of his forever. And I love how he talks about how conservative women are just more beautiful. And again, this isn't me, this is Salty Cracker, but he would always, he'll like show like left, like vegans that definitely obviously need to eat some steak, you know, and like work out, you know, not just do yoga, and like they might need to like actually eat steak and do healthy things for their bodies. And, you know, they're just like, you know, and then Gina Carano, you know, like, and he'll always put up Gina Carano because he loves her. And he's like, look at how gorgeous Gina Carano is. So he talks about it. It's like, why shouldn't we embrace the beauty? And then again, like what Mandy was saying, why are we going to fight people who are on our same team? If you're on my team, and I say this all the time, and you guys know that I've been caught in defamation and crazy scandals and stupid stuff in the medical freedom movement that I've been in. And I always said, eye on the prize, look higher. I'm looking at God. I am not going to waste my time. I'm on a battlefield, and I'm trying to fight the enemy. And you want me to stop and turn to the side and look at what? I'm not going to waste time on this stuff. I don't care what you're saying about me. But if you are on Team Freedom, if you're on Team Freedom and you're for God, family, country, I'm not going to fight you. And all those women, if they're on the same team, and just like Jenna Ellis, I'm not a big fan of hers either anymore because of what she's done with Trump. But at the same time, you have a platform, you can do good. Kind of shame on you. Shame on you for causing some BS infighting.
It's just catty.
pauses the game, and it's just petty and it's just stupid. Like, we're going to have a freaking calendar gate when you know what we should have? A WEF freaking the WHO is trying to, put their treaty in place this week gate. Like, pay attention to what really matters,
I think that's the biggest thing that frustrates me with all of this infighting, because I'm obviously very much for freedom of speech, but considering what's happening in this country, and actually not even just in our country, but around the world, because we're seeing the exact same play happening in other countries. They're running the same playbook. But it's so heartbreaking to me to see all of this infighting over the most ridiculous of topics, the most unnecessary of conversations, right? I understand it's social media. If you're doing it to have fun, if you're doing it for shock value, whatever it is. But there are so many important things that need to be discussed. This is what you chose to talk about today. This was a hill you chose to die on today. Of all the things that we can discuss, this is what you chose. And to me, I just think I've obviously I never expected to join this world of politics. It happened right after COVID because there were so many things I needed to say. I had countless conversations with my dad about whether I should speak up or not. And like, I am here today because of my dad. Because he said, if you have something to say, you have a duty to say it, to speak it. It's in the Bible. It's literally in the Bible. And I have not been speaking as much on the typical topics that are trending in politics because I'm starting to become much more aware of what actually matters. Like, what topics actually need to be had? Do we need to discuss what so-and-so was wearing on the floor of Congress, or what somebody said in some really dumb interview? And it is funny, right? Obviously, there are so many interviews and things that we could laugh at, and those are absolutely fantastic for humor to throw in and sprinkle. But should that be the highlight of your conversation for the day when there are so many other things that need to be discussed? And to me, I just think, what's the purpose? Because if you were truly using your platform to do good, you would realize this is just a distraction. Just like everything else that is thrown out from the left, everything is a distraction, and you are now playing into that same game for whatever reason. If it's for shock value, if it's trying to be funny, if you're trying to stay relevant because now you've lost so many of your fans because of what you did to Trump. Whatever the reason is, there are so many more important things to be discussing. And again, it goes back to your character. You are exposing who you are by talking about irrelevant things that do nothing to move this country forward. And you're just exposing yourself. We know who we need on our side, and we know who we don't need.
Well, and when we get accused of grifting, I think I honestly, and it's bad for me to say because I do it with my work where I'm trying to stay relevant. Mandy does it too. We're always trying to stay on top of real research, real breaking news, what's really happening. Sometimes, of course, we jump on fun viral waves. I mean, obviously, we're talking about this because they did the whole calendar gate and it was a viral wave. My point is, my viral waves and the things I want to focus on and jump on as a patriot mama bear that's really fighting for my country and for my kids and for our freedoms and a true Christian is the stuff that matters. This is fun. It's not worth it being controversial. And if I was someone like Jenna Ellis, I just wouldn't come out against it. Coming out against it and saying, good Christian women don't do something like that. It irks me on so many levels. And I think that there's a problem with not only women on women doing that, but also within the conservative movement. And then again, on the Christian side, where there's this definition of what being a good Christian is. I mean, we talk about it in church all the time where, if you're a proud, outward Christian speaking, your truth, people will go, oh, well, you know what you just did? You just did a thing that Christians don't do. You get called out if you do something publicly that is unchristian-like. And I think that that's like absolutely the opposite of what Jesus preached. I think that's the opposite of evangelizing. I think that actually alienates people. I think that makes us look silly when we're like, oh no, you're not going to go to heaven now because you were in a calendar, huh? Like, really?
I think, the other thing that came up is that my mom, this happened a couple years ago. She had said to me, oh, thank you. My son just brought me a penny. She said, what about a penny for my thoughts? She said, well, what are you going to say when you run for office if somebody doesn't like some of your modeling photos? And I said, so now they're going to shame me for my body? They're going to body shame me? I thought we were in a position.
You get this one because it's for girls.
Okay, thank you. I thought we were in a position in 2024 where we're talking about body positivity. And I said to my mom, I would dare someone come at me and try to shame me for any of my modeling work, because 9 times out of 10, it's intentionally done. There's a purpose behind the photos, and I've done a lot of work for myself. And I come first. And it's really nobody else's opinion that I really care about. My mom was like, okay, fair enough.
Well, I mean, that's another thing too, is you can't really hide. I mean, that's one thing that I stand really firm on with all the candidates that I work with, is being really genuine, because that's something that's lacking in our world, especially in politics. So if you did something, if you said something, if you made a mistake, if you regret something, you come out and you own it. You just always do. You just own it. And then you can move forward. But again, we're not perfect. We all sin. We try every day to be good Christians. We try every day to be, what God created us to be. But, we know that we're going to fail. And I think for me, the honesty is like the biggest thing. I think, again, with our leaders teaching that, I mean, that's where, like, in the political realm, if I were, like, I'm bringing this up because if I were to run for office, I wouldn't want to change the way I look. I wouldn't want to change the way I talk. I wouldn't want to have to change and become a different persona because I'm all of a sudden a person who's running for office, in the GOP. And I mean, I'm saying this because I've had some of the people I work for go through this, as women especially, where they run for office, they're wearing what they wore in their professional realm. They're wearing what they wore as mothers. They're wearing what they wore as, a lot of them did like nonprofit work and philanthropy and all these great things in our communities. But all of a sudden they run for office and they're supposed to change the way they dress. They're supposed to change the way they talk. They have to be real careful about this, that, and the other thing. That's disingenuous. I don't want fake people running for office. I want you to just be who you are. I don't want you to go get a whole new wardrobe because you're running for the GOP. I think that's bullshit. Right. And I think again, you have to be, there has to be some, you can't just obviously Riley Gaines, she looked beautiful when she spoke at our GOP event, right? Or our conservative
stunning.
I'm not going to wear a bikini at the GOP event, but I also am not going to not vote for her because she wore a bikini in a calendar. It's like, that's ridiculous. So again,
look, here's the thing. Again, it goes back to someone's heart and someone's character, because it doesn't matter if they decide to stay true to themselves. They'll say, well, why aren't they dressing the part? Why aren't they dressing like this? Why are they wearing this much makeup? Why are they speaking this way? But on the contrary, if they do change because they want to look more professional, they want to embody that position of leadership, and then they'll turn around and they'll say, well, this person is fake. They're not authentic. They don't speak this way. They don't dress like this. So it doesn't matter which way you go. I think this is why it's so important to be true to yourself, to be honest with who you are. Obviously, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a time and a place for dressing a certain way. There's a time and a place for speaking a certain way. For certain conversations, obviously. And I'm not saying you can go to Vegas and run amok and then turn around and say, I'm this saint, right?
Whoa, Frankie, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Listen, I live here. Everything that happens here stays here. This is
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I live by that. I think that's legal.
I walk around Vegas like this. Like, everyone knows me.
And then Mandy's gonna have to educate everybody on a 304. Because that's pretty much.
But if you're a 304 in Vegas, it's okay.
Yeah, because nobody knows. But you can't be a 304 from 702 though.
Oh,
that's the trick.
On that.
Yeah.
I'm really confused now. I gotta get my calculator
but
out.
let's discuss 304 actually. Let's
Mandy, break it down. Wait, Mandy, I think Mandy
the
has like
people
a
need to
thought.
know.
I
think this is
was
an
wondering
important
if anyone
topic.
in the chat would know what a 304 is.
This is
and
an
where-
important topic that will move the country forward, I think.
I think at the core of it, what bothers me about their attack on Riley and the other women in the calendar is it seems to be just they're attacking the type of Christian that they are. Well, you're not a conservative woman if you do this. You're not a conservative woman. And people could make the same argument about us. We have tattoos. Sometimes we cuss.
I cuss a lot. Mandy and I are the cussing queens.
You know, but I'm a genuine person.
Mm-hmm.
If it's very weird. People will tell you you're not a true Christian or you don't believe in God if you don't do X, Y, and Z. Well, the same argument can be made for anything. We could certainly break down Jenna Ellis's behavior and point out all of the non-Christian conservative values that she failed to meet. I just wish the attacks on other people would stop, and then they would stop saying, well, you're not a Christian because you have a tattoo. You're not a Christian because you eat pork. You know, whatever.
But the thing is, it's this idea of this labeling. What does it mean to be a conservative? What does it mean to be a Christian? I mean, Andrea and I have had this conversation where I sit there and I think, I mean, during my Bible study, I have said this, that I think people mistake the idea of believing in God with worshiping God. It's a very, very different concept. And to say, well, you're not a true Christian, well, how do you know? You don't know my life. You don't know my heart. You don't know what I do on the sidelines. Like that's something that when I'm attacked on social media, which I always laugh at, I for sure play it up. I'm like, keep it going so the algorithm feeds me more followers. So, but I'll have people attack me and they say, well, you're not a true Christian and you're not this and you're just a keyboard warrior. You don't know what I do the hours that I'm not trolling on the White House account. You don't know that I teach high school kids at my church. You don't know all of the volunteer work that I do. You don't know the groups that I'm a part of to educate the country on all of these topics. You don't know all of the interviews that I go to, all of the leftist news stations that I have been on. Literally, I mean, Andrea loves sharing this story, and it's a David and Goliath tale. But every time that I'm thrown into the lion's den with the left to be a voice for the people on the right who are true Christians that don't have the courage yet to speak up, because it's a journey. Faith is a journey and we're all in a different place. It's a spectrum. So for those that are not able to speak, we need to speak up for them. So how dare you come up and say you're not a true Christian, you're not a true conservative. So please tell me, the exact same way that the left can't define what is a woman, tell me, what is a conservative? What is a Christian? Because I can tell you, you probably don't have it correct either. So just as the Bible says, don't worry about the plank, the speck in my eye when there's a plank in your eye. You have to look at yourself first. And that's the biggest problem with our country. There is no accountability. And it's very easy to attack others and not look within. And that's one of the biggest problems that we have in this country. And it's on both sides. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop.
And who can cast the first stone here? You know what I mean? It's like that judgment. But for me, it's like when it comes to evangelizing, I mean, I understand that there's morality and, you know, we've got to be definitely teaching our values, and those values do come from the word. But for me, because I grew up in the church, and then when I was a teenager, like a lot of teenagers, I just kind of got meh, you know, like it was what it was. I wasn't as involved. But it was because I felt really disconnected. The word wasn't touching me the same way. People, you know, my grandparents always talked about sin and sin and sin and sin. And then, you know, you're walking around as a teenager and you're like, I'm just sinning all the time. So I guess, you know, you go through these waves in your life where you sometimes feel really disconnected. And I guess like with my evangelizing, with the way I want to preach about my relationship with God, I want people to hear his word. I want people to hear the message. And I feel like when we're not being careful to the message actually reaching someone's ears, then it's actually pushes them away. And so you go into this, like, you're like Pharisees, like when you get into this nitty gritty of like, you're not a good Christian because of things that in my opinion shouldn't cast you. Like, again, your relationship is with God. I can't get involved with that. But it's like, with this, like with the calendar and them just even talking about it and them turning it into a calendar gate, I'm like, see, this is what pushes people away and makes us look kind of silly, in my opinion, because we're supposed to, Jesus came here to save the sinners, not the saints. Okay, so if you're going to walk around and tell me you're a saint and you know better, and then you're going to cast people out over things like that, then you're kind of making a mockery of the whole thing, in my opinion. I think you're pushing people away from it. You're not evangelizing. You're doing the opposite.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. My nieces dealt with somebody who, an activist in Florida. This woman likes to hang outside their school on Friday afternoons and hand out abortion pamphlets, trying to get them to choose a pro-life. I believe that her intention is good, but her delivery is actually turning people away from her message. She's getting in the children's faces. She's, no joke, she's calling them whores, sluts. She accused my niece of being promiscuous because she was wearing a tank top in Florida in the summer. She is calling slurs to children who are obviously gay. It's not for her to judge their life, but her verbal attacks on them, all she does is push them away from their message, and it's real bad. She's losing so many kids that she could be reaching because of her delivery, and that happens a lot, I think.
I think that's a really good point. Delivery is intention. I like how Frankie points out it's all about the intention and what the person's heart is. And Andrea, I agree with you. We go through like these spectrums of like feeling really connected to God and not feeling connected, and then feeling connected. And Mandy, I think you're right. It's all about the delivery. Like, how did you deliver the message? Them attacking her, it makes them look bad. It doesn't make any of the women that are in the calendar look bad. It makes the women who are attacking them look bad. And this could be a very good teachable moment for them. Maybe they thought they'd get more followers. Maybe they thought, well, this is the way to do it. Let's roadie in some more people and we're going to shame these other women. But I think we all know what fights we really have going on in this world right now for our children and our country and our freedom. And those things are a lot bigger and need more attention to handle than worrying or making judgment about these beautiful women being patriotic in a calendar. Like, really? And obviously these individuals didn't have enough on their hands to go and handle in their life that day. And it's a reminder to me every day, if I think I'm going to say something like out of frustration, whether it be at a county meeting, whether it be online, I will check myself and be like, first of all, is this something I want out there? Is this really where I need to be putting my energy, or do I need to be putting it into my businesses, to my women's groups, to my coalition moms group, to my kids, to my family, to my community, to my church? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't need to comment on that. You will rarely ever see me go off on any comment on anything. Like, I have to be boiling to a point of like smoke is coming out my ears for me to say or go after anything. You'll never see it. Because also, let me remind all of us, we all work with attorneys, correct? No, we know instinctively, all of us, it's kind of like built in, since we all work with attorneys and all of our background is like focusing on the legal stuff. We all instinctively know that going that direction is not going to do you any good in any future thing that you do, whether it's campaigning or advocacy. Like, that is going to come back to bite you. So it's, if you're pointing one finger, you got four more pointing back at yourself.
It's very interesting because everything that you said can be backed up by the words in the Bible, because it tells us when to speak up and when to be silent. It tells us to choose our battles wisely, which is exactly what you're saying. That's the importance of discipline and self-control. Because if you don't have self-control, obviously, which the left does not, we can see that every day. But if you don't have self-control, you cannot make the wise decision of knowing, is this going to equal a consequence that I can afford, or is this something that I do need to go after and attack? Because there's a very big difference, and that comes from wisdom, that comes from understanding. But it also goes back to, and this is one of the most difficult things, and this has been something that I have been working on actively the last year, but it's loving your enemy. And not saying that every single battle is a direct enemy, like the spiritual enemy, right? But if you look at, for example, Mandy, the girl that you're saying, she has this good intention in her heart, but when you're attacking this person, it's cycle. If you study psychology, you're going to understand, if you want someone to see your perspective, they need to believe that it was their idea to feel and think that way in the first place. So trying to coerce them into this belief system is not going to happen. You have to understand how to speak to people. And it's a topic of study that not enough people, I think this is something that everybody should understand. Because if you can understand how to have conversations, one, you would be better in business, you would have better relationships, you would have better marriages, you would have stronger friendships, the world wouldn't be falling apart.
I mean, isn't that the backbone of our faith, is love thy neighbor? And also
Exactly.
something that Mandy says with it when she talks about praying for some of the bad guys that were, trying to stop what they're doing. It's because they are made from the same Father. They are our brothers and sisters. God sees them as his children too. So we can pray for, like she said, pray for their discernment. We could pray for the blackmailing and the horrible things that the devil's done to them to be lifted, for
That
them
they
to
have the courage.
be taken away from that, for them to have courage, and for them to come to us. But I mean, like the woman at the well, when do you have the right to look at someone and say they're too far gone to find God or to come to the faith? Like, we're not here to judge in that way. I can protect, like, again, you harm me, you try to come against me, that's one thing. You try to harm an innocent, I will definitely attack that. God doesn't want us to just be passive. We're here to flip tables, yes. But at the same time, if you're really here to evangelize, you have to, like you guys are all saying, get the message across in the right way. And you have to come from a place of some sort of empathy. These are all human beings that were made by the same creator.
And I think what turned the point, and I'll make it quick, Mandy. I think the turning point for me was when it was explained to me using Paul as a reference. And he was our enemy. He was slaughtering Christians, and he turned around and was able to change a nation because his heart changed, because his heart started following God. And when you allow God to change your heart, you change the way that you live. And that changed everything for me, because how can we judge if someone has gone too far, right? Only God knows, and only God can judge. We don't know how far someone can turn around and change the world for the better, no matter how far they've gone, how far we think they've gone. But it also goes back to, and this was the other half of that lesson that I've really been trying to actively focus on. If someone attacks you, they're going to expect a reaction. A lot of times people attack you just to get a reaction, because that's the best and only way that they know how to get attention from anyone, because they crave it. And if you study psychology and you see that, you can see what the root cause of all of these issues are. And a lot of times those people are the ones that need the most love. They're the ones that need the most, and I don't want to say attention, but the most care, and they need conversation. They need someone to have their back. They need to know that somebody actually cares for them. So when you sit down and they try to attack you, and you actually come back and you choose kindness instead of wanting to react the way that many of us want to at many times, but if you choose kindness and you show them love despite whatever it is that they have attacked you with or said to you or done to you, imagine how that can change their heart. Because imagine them thinking, wow, I did this and this and this and this, and they still chose kindness. Like, maybe that is what it means to be a Christian. Like, maybe I do want to be a part of that. And it starts changing in them. It starts planting a seed in them for them to want to change. Like, you have no idea the ripples that you could create with the actions. And you can react in a negative way, or you can react in a positive way. You have that choice. And it's one thing that was said in church a couple of weeks ago. He was stating, a lot of us consistently say, what's wrong with the world? What's wrong with the world? But none of us ask, what's wrong with me? And how am I participating in what's happening in the world today? And it all starts with us. And if we aren't that change, if we aren't allowing God to change our heart, we cannot expect the hearts of others to change.
Mandy,
Go ahead,
what
Mandy.
would
I'll
you
stop
say?
interrupting.
You're okay. You're okay.
That was no, I think it was spot on.
Yeah. To add to that, I was gonna say that things really changed for me when I really let myself understand that my time is currency, and that what I give my energy to really matters. And so when people would attack me, I would try to break down, like, if I haven't done anything to be attacked, what is it? What's your problem? Like, you've just decided that I'm your enemy and you're going to attack me. And I'll admit, in the past, I've always been the one I'll lay out the facts, and I don't care what you think about it. I'm going to tell you the truth and I'm going to give it to you. But then I stopped doing that because I realized that I'm just giving my energy to something that's toxic, and that a different approach was probably needed. Nobody needs prayer more than the devil, but nobody prays for the devil. Okay. Right? Nobody ever, you don't hear anybody praying for the devil. They just assume that he's the devil, and that's fine. I get it. It's the devil. But when I start getting attacked from people who've made me their enemy for whatever reason, I treat them as if they're the devil because they're doing the devil's work. And I pray for them, and it works. I pray for their happiness. I mean, I've had people that have, you don't even want to know. It's like Jerry Springer shit. But I could not get these people to leave me alone. It doesn't matter what I did. I used the legal system. They just wouldn't go away. And then one day I thought, you know what? This is the wrong approach. I'm just going to pray for them. And I prayed for them. I prayed that they had a happy, successful relationship. I prayed that they found happiness in their life. And they disappeared, and they're happy, and they left me alone. And
well, and I mean, the Bible, preaches about forgiveness, and a lot of people talk about, until you can do that effectively, you'll be constantly tormented. You're actually hurting yourself when you can't forgive. But I mean, wrapping this back into, because we're at 52 minutes and I don't want to go too much further, and I'll let you guys all have your final thoughts. But my final thought, going back to the start, is the infighting. We see it in the conservative movement. We see it with women and feminism. We see it in the GOP. I always say that the enemy is like lockstep. They know who their candidates are. They know what to say. But I mean, again, they have the Mockingbird media and the CIA and, horrible people around them, turning them into slaves, which we are not, obviously. But I just do wish, and I do pray for the good patriots, the God family country patriots of this country, to just not waste time, because we don't have time to waste. Okay, we don't. We need to be evangelizing in the right way. We need to be getting the word out in the right way. We need to be educating on what's really happening. Again, the WHO treaty that's happening, I think it's HB 291 in Hawaii that's happening. I mean, the legislative stuff that's coming, they're coming after your kids. This isn't a joke. We lived through COVID. They're going to bring another one in. They've tried to strip all our rights away. We know what the WEF is up to. We know what the One World Agenda is. We all need to just lock arms a little bit better and have each other's back. And again, if you're God family country, I am not going to look sideways at what you're wearing. I'm not going to look sideways of you being in a calendar, because that's a waste of my time. If you are on Team America, you're for America first, you're a MAGA patriot, I'm not going to waste time bickering about stuff that doesn't matter. I guess that's where it comes back to for me. And it wraps up into being Christian as well. But anyway, you guys, final parting words tonight.
I love the calendar. I want us to be there. I'm pitching for these guys. The Ultra Dad, what's it? Ultra Dad beer. I think it's really cool. I think
we
it's
can
actually,
do That's What She Said calendar.
yeah. I mean,
we could get all of our friends involved.
We could,
Do That's What
I've
She
got
Said
the
calendar.
camera equipment. We can
Gonna
make
happen.
that happen.
And then
too.
we're gonna have Jenna Ellis hate us. It'll be fantastic.
I really don't
get
care.
Riley.
Like,
Let's get Riley involved. She's our buddy now.
Yes.
Riley, yes. Riley's got to come in. Yes.
We're going to do a calendar for Riley and her organization. How about that? We'll just double up. We'll just do calendar after calendar after calendar.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
I have experience because I did my first.
I know. And you're a photographer.
Wait.
You were a photographer.
We have to have a shout out for my mom because she was in her first modeling. She did some modeling early on, but when I did this calendar for my Women in Cannabis Expos events and I had speakers in there, Mom was Miss January and she was so elegant and very godly. She had this beautiful white. We came into work one day. I got to tell you guys this. So we came into work one day and she goes, okay, I'm going to do it. But I want to be Miss January and I want to wear white. And I said, that's exactly what I was going to tell you because her birthday's in January. So I'm all for, if we have to be creative in how we battle this fight, if we have to showcase what real women look like, if we have
women who don't have dicks and who never had dicks, we're called cis. Are we cis women when cis?
Yes,
because I
so stupid.
Never had a dick, and
no, I'm just a woman.
And I'm just a woman.
That could be the title of the calendar. Chicks without dicks.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
I
think that's a brilliant marketing idea.
Who's out there that
wants to
Brooke?
Let us define what a woman is with our calendar. Okay, that went too far. That might get a little.
We could have different
that should be in the marketing.
But okay, so my last thoughts are: I love this topic. I love that it brought out all the aspects of intention and what it means to be a good Christian human and what we should be focusing on, because yes, they are coming for our kids. This is a tiny distraction that they're trying to be like squirrel, and we really have to stay focused and use something like this to our advantage where we can make our own calendar and it'll be amazing. So that's all I got. I loved everybody. I just thought it was great.
Well, I mean, like drag queen story hour, that's another thing I just have to bring up. Like, when you tell me that that's not sexual, it is. It's stupid. It's inherently sexual. I don't go into a school or library and say I'm having straight or bi or like dress up or like nothing should be sexual about story hour, period. And so for me, I mean, I think some of this from like what we're saying is it's like hitting them back. Like you said, that one gal looked like she was doing the whole Dylan Mulvaney with the Bud Light thing. It's like, I think it's fun and it's creative and it's great. And I think we need to do it. Frankie, final words.
Okay, so final words really quick. Mandy on the not praying for the devil hit me hard. And then I started thinking about the Grinch and how no one wanted to speak to the Grinch. And I just thought this could easily just be one. Let's just pray for the devil. Two, I'm going to watch Team America in a little bit because you brought that up and now I have a song in my head and I'm really psyched up about it. So I'm going to listen to the soundtrack. I'm going to listen to the soundtrack in a little bit. And then 3 for the calendar. Absolutely. I'm all in for it. And just to finish off, I think not only is it important to have these conversations, but to again just to beat that dead horse with it, right? Mm-hmm. To focus on what's actually important to be discussing, because all of these things are distractions. So that way we are distracted from having the conversations that need to be had, that actually make us better, that make us smarter, that make us stronger, that make us healthier, that make us push forward together as an individual, as citizens, as Christians. So we need to be having these important conversations. The last thing, I think it is really important for us real women without dicks to understand how beautiful it is to be, like we have been given this gift from God to be women in this world. Yep. I don't think enough women realize what a gift it is to get to be a woman. It's not, I am a woman, unfortunately, and I have this and I have this. We get to be women. We get to grow into the woman that we were created to be. And I think every single one of these attacks, the same way that they are attacking masculinity, I think this is purposely done to attack femininity. If you do anything to try to enjoy your femininity, to try to look beautiful, to try to speak eloquently, to dress the way you want to dress, they're going to attack you because it's you showing that you are, I don't want to say proud. I know proud is not the word, but you're joyful in being a woman, and you're celebrating that you are a woman of God. And if you celebrate that, you're going against everything that they're going against, because they're clearly trying to destroy anything that is Christian, anything that is beautiful, anything that is
Anything
natural,
that's strong when you think about it. I mean,
anything
they've
that is
been
strong.
attacking masculinity, but strong women too are getting attacked. I mean, Riley Gaines is very strong, and it scares the crap out of him. Gina Carano, very strong, and praying for the enemy is a wonderful message we talked about tonight, but also identifying, pinpointing, and talking about who the real enemy is, and then, like, you know, pulling that curtain back for everyone, and then pointing out the fact that if they're human, everyone on this plane with us that are humans, they are not gods. They are not big. I don't care if I saw Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, you know, are not POTUS in real life. I'd walk up to him, point him in the chest, and treat him just like the little dweebs, awful human beings that they are. These are not big and powerful people.
No.
These are just people. So call them out for what they are. And again, the praying for the enemy, but then also identifying the enemy. I think we do have to hit it hard when it comes to discussing it. And like from a media perspective, I love this playing with things and having fun and making fun of, because you take their power away that way. So
Exactly.
don't take this too seriously to the point where you've made them untouchable. These assholes aren't untouchable. They're literally trying to create a one world order. Call their shit out all the time. And I think again, having that strength is what they like to attack the most.
Mandy.
I would
Blow
say,
our minds, Mandy.
Yeah.
I would say infighting is stupid. If somebody from, if you're somebody's ally and you're on the same side, if you're Team America and Team Freedom, then you're on the same side, and somebody's attacking you, just ignore it. Don't give it your attention. Pay attention to whatever they're trying to distract you from when they're trying to distract you with something stupid. And if they really are stupid, pray for them. Pray that they meet somebody wonderful and that they have happiness and abundance, because even though they may be shitheads, they're still God's children, and he loves them just as much as he loves us. I don't know how far we're going to get if we're wishing bad things for other children God loves. So pray for the devil, because he really needs it. And don't give your energy to stupid shit. Just let it roll off.
Our voice of reason, Mandy. She's like, I'm
don't pay attention to stupid shit.
That's right.
I think that's what we need to end with. Don't pay attention to stupid shit. Okay, so we're going to be back next week. It might be same time. Everyone pray for Brooke. She's got some stuff coming up, and we want to keep her happy and healthy and energetic, because we need her smiling face here next week, all spunky.
Yes.
So prayers to everyone. I love the message tonight. Let's not fight, make love, not war. I'm going to try to, Vim wants me to do this little thing. I'm going to do this little thing, and then we're going to log off, but we'll see you guys next week. Probably, should we say the same? We're going to pretend it's going to be about the same time-ish.
Let's just say the same time, and then we'll change it 5 minutes.
If we're alive and we're here, we'll try the same time next week. All right, y'all. Love ya. Bye.